Hello everyone, Thomas here. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Today, very briefly, I wanted to talk about the over-hatred of Madame Web. I know that's a controversial thought. It's a controversial opinion that Madame Web is one of the worst reviewed movies of all time. It's one of the worst superhero movies, one of the worst movies of all time. It's just dreadful. It's awful. But is it though? Honestly, there are little nitpicks here and there for me. Some of the acting isn't very good. You could kind of tell that Dakota Johnson didn't want to be there. The villain, the actor who plays the villain, really didn't like him very much either. But other than that, I feel like the storyline was fine. They did rush things here and there, but really the thing that pains me the most of this movie is that basically the whole trailer was the movie. We basically saw everything that would happen in the movie. We had the diner scene, we had the subway scene. The only thing that they didn't show very much of was the actual final act battle, which really wasn't a battle anyway. And they didn't really show very much of... I didn't really think they, like, explained how, spoilers by the way, how she became blind and paralyzed. I feel like they kind of glossed over it. Yeah, she hit the water, but I didn't really feel like anything hit her too hard. Like they didn't show very much of that. But I will say, I do think that this is not one of the worst movies of all time. Obviously, it has its faults, it has its issues, but honestly, I enjoyed the whole time watching the movie. I did think that, like I said, there's nitpicks here and there. Dakota Johnson, I don't know the actor's name that plays the villain of this movie. I really did not like his acting. A lot of it sounded like he overdubbed the voice. You could see the mouths being weird. The editing choices were weird. But honestly, like, the intensity of some of the scenes were actually very well done. I was actually on the edge of my seat a lot of the time, which is very weird considering I've only heard bad things about this. And yeah, I know I did kind of talk negatively about the film itself, but I thought the filming itself was very well done. There was awesome turns and changes throughout. It made it feel like you were a spider in a web sometimes, and I liked how when the villain was like upside down, it would follow him sometimes and then just kind of like maneuver around. The cinematography here is very well done. I do think, in fact, Dakota Johnson was not enjoying being there. There was a lot of things with her that I didn't really super love, but I still enjoyed a lot of what she did, and I think that the comedy in this movie actually hit pretty well. I don't think it falls flat in any sense of the word, but I do think that there was a little bit... I wish that the whole movie was half the movie and the other half was actually them being superheroes and that kind of stuff. Because this is basically an origin story without getting the knowledge of how the three Spider-Women get powers. We don't know that from this movie, and it does feel like a prologue or a first act of another movie, which I do feel like is very comparable to Fan4Stick, but Fan4Stick did a whole lot worse, in my opinion, just portraying everything than Madame Web. I really did enjoy the characters, and I feel like if we just got this movie for half the movie and then the other half them actually being superheroes, that would have been really awesome. They did have to kind of speed up the process of them becoming, you know, friends and loving each other and that kind of thing, because it is a very short period of time during this movie. Like, it takes place in a very short amount of time, and I feel like it's just super overhated. I really do believe that, because I actually felt joy watching this. I was on the edge of my seat. It has awesome visuals. There are some, you know, random weird CGI moments as well, but that's every MCU movie, every, comic book movie in general. I feel as though that this movie is super overhated, and we're actually looking at movies right now through nostalgia lenses, because I have to say, like, not all MCU movies were perfect before, Phase 4. It wasn't always perfect, but for some reason we have this ideology that all MCU movies are perfect. And even to this point, it just feels like, yes, I do feel like they should have incorporated a little bit more of a Spider-Man story. I do feel like there's a lot of stuff that I would have loved to see in this movie, but taking it back, I think a lot of the reason why so many people are disliking it is because they wanted something else from it. Because honestly, this trailer, some of it was a little misleading. The posters were misleading. We barely see them in costume. And it's not even during the time of the movie. It's all during visions. So I do see where people are coming from in that negative aspect, but honestly, I don't think it's as bad as people say. It's not an awful film. It was very enjoyable. So check it out for yourself. If you haven't watched Madame Web, you definitely should give it a shot, because it is not nearly as bad as what people say it is. Thank you so much. I honestly would probably give this a 6 out of 10, which is like, it's not bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's obviously not fantastic in any way. It doesn't change the mold or change cinematic history, but it's not bad. Thank you.